I'm positioned outside App's residence, ready to face him. Today, I'm addressing the issue of my wife's infidelity with her affair partner. 2 months ago, I discovered their secret and confronted her about the affair. She expressed deep remorse and assured me that she wished to remain with me. I was determined to rescue our marriage through counseling and similar measures. We've been participating in both individual and couples therapy. She professes her love for me, expresses a desire to mend our relationship, and does not want a divorce. She granted me access to her phone, but requested that I refrain from secretly inspecting it. She vehemently assured me of her commitment to rebuilding the trust we had lost. However, unbeknownst to her, she is still maintaining contact with him. I recently discovered this, but chose to keep it to myself. Tomorrow, I intend to deliver the divorce papers to her, but prior to that, I plan to have a conversation with her affair partner to uncover any other lies she may have shared with me. I am aware that they have engaged in a dozen phone conversations since I discovered the situation and insisted that they have no further contact. She insists she hasn't maintained contact with him, yet the phone records tell a different story. They exchange text messages nearly every day. It's clear she's erasing them from her phone since I can't find any evidence, but she remains unaware that deleting them on her phone doesn't remove them from her iPad. Currently, I find myself parked outside his residence, waiting for either him or his spouse to depart for work. If he departs, I plan to tail him to his workplace and address him there. Should she leave before him, I intend to approach his doorstep. I'm feeling incredibly emotional right now. I understand that the community is awaiting an update, and I'm here to share it. Let me begin with last night. I returned home from work, prepared dinner, and sat down to eat. When my wife inquired about my day, I simply described it as uneventful, and that pretty much summed it up. We went through our usual routine of having dinner, spending time with the kids, and putting them to bed, as if everything was business as usual. Later in the evening, we both retreated to our bedroom to watch TV. Surprisingly, she remained silent for nearly 2 hours. Once our shows concluded, she broke the silence with a straightforward, "I'm going to bed." And that was the extent of our interaction. No arguments, no conversations, just silence. After she went to bed, I continued playing video games for a few more hours before I went to bed myself. My sleep was restless, and I finally woke up at 6 a.m. That day was due to our marriage counseling session scheduled for the lunch hour. I had previously discussed my intentions with our therapist, so when we sat down for the session, I wasted no time. I spoke with to a affair partner yesterday. Yeah, I talked to him too. I understand your confusion. I spoke to him because I had questions I needed answers to, and I felt like you weren't being completely honest with me, I explained. My wife responded, "Well, what did he tell you, honey?" "He didn't hold back," I replied. "He revealed everything about what you both have been up to, the covered meetings, secret rendezvous, and the affectionate phone calls. In essence, he spilled the beans on everything." I proceeded to enumerate all the information I had already gathered about their messages, phone calls, meetings, dates, and times. At this point, she couldn't hold back her tears. It became evident to me that despite your words here, your actions paint an entirely different picture. Thus, I've reached a point of finality. I want a divorce. She held the paperwork as if it were a poisonous serpent, her gaze fixed upon it. Then she turned to the therapist, a plea in her eyes. "How can I mend this? I don't desire a divorce. I want you. I want our life. I want to stay." The therapist responded, "When your words and your actions are telling conflicting stories, you always believe the actions, not the words. Your actions have revealed everything I needed to understand. How can we proceed from this point onward without confrontation, without bitterness, and without involving our children in this turmoil?" The remainder of the session took an unexpectedly amicable turn. Both of us shed tears. I expressed how betrayed and angry I felt that she could persist in this affair behind my back, seeing me as a gullible fool who would never discover the truth. Tears streamed down her face because her entire life, as she knows it, is ending. I informed her that I had halted her financial support and that she could utilize half of our shared assets to retain a divorce attorney. I also conveyed that she couldn't reside in our home any longer and would need to find shelter with family or friends. I told her I was done, and there was no hope for reconciliation. She sobbed even harder as we spoke after the session, clutching my hand in one last desperate attempt to seek my forgiveness. I withdrew my hand firmly and reiterated that I was resolute in my decision. I no longer wanted her in my life. She crumbled to the floor in tears. I turned and exited the room, leaving her in that state. As I drove away from the therapist's office, I picked up my phone and made a call. The fair partner's wife, and left her voicemail saying, "I really need to speak with you. Please call me ASAP." I promptly contacted my attorney and instructed her to initiate the necessary paperwork. Subsequently, my wife attempted to reach out, both through phone calls and text messages, but I chose to let them go to voicemail and have not yet had the opportunity to review her messages. A profound sense of emptiness consumed me during my drive to her parents' house. Just before entering, my phone suddenly rang. It was a fair partner's wife calling me back. To my surprise, he hadn't shared any information with her. I informed her of my need for a face-to-face meeting and asked if we could convene in an hour. She agreed, and we promptly arranged a meeting place and time. Upon entering her parents' house, I proceeded to lay out the entire truth. Her mother broke into tears almost instantly, while her father remained stoic and expressionless. I told him that I cared deeply for her, had made sincere efforts to salvage the relationship, but I couldn't bear the burden of standing by as she continued to deceive me with infidelity behind my back. They were so totally shaken that it was challenging to discern their sentiments. I assured them that I had no intention of tarnishing her reputation or divulging our private matters to our friends and family. However, I emphasized the importance of them understanding the real reasons behind our divorce. I made it clear that I didn't anticipate their unwavering support in this matter, and truth be told, I hoped they would extend their support to her, as she would undoubtedly require it. It all boils down to ensuring a suitable living environment for my children. I am concerned about their well-being when they are staying with their mother. I want to make sure they have a comfortable and safe place to live during that time. Thankfully, her parents are in a position to provide financial support. I told them I loved them and that I would miss our relationship. I shook hands with her father and embraced her mother before departing. Following that, I headed to our designated meeting spot to meet the spouse of a fair partner. I'm currently seated in my car, patiently awaiting her arrival. My intention is to have a conversation with her and, if necessary, present the video to provide clarity. Ultimately, I want to empower her to decide on the course of action. If she requires emotional support, I'm here to offer it. No one should have to endure such a situation in isolation. That sums up my day so far. I have a meeting with the spouse of a fair partner on my agenda, as well as picking up my children from school and securing new locks for my house. Fortunately, I've installed the security system at home, which means that any potential theft or damage will be recorded on video. She's aware of this as well, so I'm not overly concerned. Update 2. When her partner's wife arrived at our meeting spot, it was evident that she sensed something was amiss the moment I stepped out of the car. She attempted to maintain a friendly demeanor, but I could discern her awareness of the situation. I said to her, "I have something important to discuss with you. It's not going to be a pleasant or easy conversation, and I'm truly sorry that we find ourselves in this situation. My wife and your husband have been involved in an affair," I revealed. She broke into tears instantly. I had to press on. "I discovered it about 3 months ago." At that moment, her head snapped up, and I could see fury in her eyes. "3 months ago," she retorted, her frustration evident. "Why on earth are you only telling me now?" So I proceeded to clarify how I stumbled upon the truth, recounting the confrontation with my soon-to-be ex-wife and our attempts at marriage counseling to salvage our relationship. She listened attentively, nodding in understanding, until I reached the part where I discovered they were still involved with each other. At that point, her tears welled up once more. It pains me to articulate this and share someone else's pain, as it feels like I'm distributing another person's suffering. She is entirely undeserving of this situation. To be completely honest, I'm overwhelmed with guilt about breaking this news to her because she had no inkling of what was happening. She confided that she had been wondering why I had reached out to her, speculating that it might have been some negative news about her husband. Her entire world came crashing down, and in that moment, I asked her if she wanted to view the video. It's somewhat ironic because at first, she believed I possessed a compromising video of the two of them, and at first was disgusted that I would even offer to show that to her. I quickly clarified, saying, "No, that's not the case. I met with an affair partner yesterday and confronted him about all of this, and he admitted to the affair." I informed her that I had a video recording of our conversation. After a brief pause, she expressed her desire to watch it, knowing that the original video had been around 25 minutes long, filled with evasiveness, lies, and denials from him. I had taken the time to edit out some key segments. I had condensed these into a roughly 50-second clip, which I proceeded to play for her. In the video, he offered me an apology, admitted his mistakes, and disclosed a few more details about their ongoing relationship. As soon as I hit the play button, her tears began to flow once more upon seeing his face. I paused the video and asked if she was certain she wanted to continue, but she nodded, and I let the recording play out. At that moment, there didn't seem to be much more to discuss. I conveyed my profound regret for being the one to deliver this distressing news to her. She expressed gratitude for my role in enlightening her. I assured her that I empathized with her emotions, as I had experienced similar feelings. I told her that she could reach out to me if she ever needed to talk, vent, or even unleash her frustrations with a torrent of obscenities. She thanked me, and after a warm hug, we parted ways, leaving it at that. I genuinely have no idea about her future plans, but I fear they won't bode well for an affair partner. My heart aches for both her and her children. With these heavy thoughts on my mind, I got into the car and drove home, all while my phone buzzed incessantly with messages during our conversation. My soon-to-be former spouse had been attempting to contact me since I departed earlier in the day. After reviewing the security footage at our residence and noticing that she hadn't returned home, I decided to head back. Upon arriving, I found her sitting in the driveway, indulging in a cigarette. The moment she spotted my car, she began to shout, "You told my darn parents." Swiftly, I hit the record button on my phone and discreetly tucked it into my shirt pocket to capture the entire exchange on video. Stepping out of the car in the driveway with her blocking access to the garage, I responded, "Yes, I did. They deserve to understand the truth behind our divorce." I remained truthful and refrained from fabricating any details. I informed them of the unvarnished truth, and I told them that they should love and support you through all this. Revelation completely deflated her anger, and she went from rage to being a bawling mess in seconds. She repeatedly apologized, inquired about how she could make amends, and expressed that she never desired any of this. I patiently listened to her outpouring of emotions, and when she finally ran out of things to say, I replied, "I've already expressed everything I needed to during our therapy session today. I have nothing more to add on this matter. I'll be picking up the kids from school and preparing dinner for them. You're welcome to collect your belongings, but staying here tonight is not an option. I propose that it might be best for you to stay with your parents during this time." This suggestion incited anger from her as she retorted, "You can't stop me from seeing my children." I replied, "No, I have no intention of keeping you away from our children. However, considering your current emotional state, I don't think it would be a good idea for them to see you like this. I'll convey to them that you intend to remain with Gramps for a few days due to Gramps' recent illness. They will likely be understanding and not raise any inquiries. However, we need to decide how and when we are going to tell them about this, and it's essential to do so before the week concludes." She hesitated once more, and I couldn't help but feel immense sympathy for her. At that instant, I beheld the woman I held deep affection for, the woman I had wedded, the woman I had committed to spending my life with, vulnerable. I embraced her, expressing my regret for the turmoil unfolding. Yet I also conveyed that these circumstances were the outcome of her choices, and I could no longer endure being in a marriage with someone who treated me in such a manner. We stood there and embraced for a long time, with her tears soaking my shoulder. Eventually, she disengaged and attempted to share a kiss, but I withdrew, stating that it wouldn't be possible. This sent her into another emotional breakdown, prompting me to turn and head inside the house. I made my way to the kitchen, poured myself a strong drink, and took a seat. After roughly 15 minutes had passed, I could hear her entering the house. She proceeded silently to our bedroom, and the sound of her packing a suitcase reached my ears. I remained in the kitchen, where she eventually discovered me with her suitcase prepared. "I hope you're content," she said. "I'm not happy at all," I replied, my voice heavy with sorrow. "I didn't desire this. What I yearned for was you. I wanted us. I longed for a wife who would love me and treat me with tenderness. But instead, I found myself in this situation. Then why are you doing this? Why aren't you throwing away everything we have?" "I'm not," I responded. "You threw all this away when you went back to an affair partner." Despite her hurling a few more provocative words my way, I refused to engage in an argument. Upon recognizing my unwillingness to partake in an argument, she stormed out, slamming the door with such force that it dislodged a picture frame from the wall in the back hallway. The sound of her car's tires screeching in reverse signaled her departure. I completed my drink and re-watched the video recording of her vehemently screaming and cursing at me. As a precaution, I realized that I had gathered enough video evidence to safeguard myself legally should things take a turn for the worse. I picked up the children after school and brought them back home. I sat them down and let them know that Mom would be staying with Grandpa for a few days. While the kids were clearly upset, they didn't press for more details. We spent the afternoon playing, had dinner together, and now they're getting ready for bed. As for my soon-to-be ex-wife, her affair partner, and the affair partner's spouse, I haven't received any messages or calls from them in several hours. The house is about to become considerably quieter once the children are tucked into bed. To be honest, I find solace in this quietude as I return to my bottle to pour a few more drinks before retiring for the night. Update 3. As previously mentioned, I had a conversation with my affair partner's spouse on Friday. She told me that she is not ready to end their marriage and that they are staying together and are going to try and make things work. They are currently undergoing counseling, and as they share children, I hold no resentment toward her efforts to salvage her marriage. I can empathize, having been in her position before. Their children remain unaware of the situation. My sincere wishes are for their success in mending their relationship, and I respect her request to refrain from contacting her during this period of reconciliation. My hope is that they can indeed reconcile and find happiness together. During our therapy session last Friday, my wife and I dedicated our time to discussing how we should break the news to our children. In the course of our conversation, she confided in me that she has no intention of pursuing a divorce. She pleaded with me repeatedly, imploring me not to proceed with the divorce. In response, I conveyed to her that her choice to rekindle things with an affair partner after I had advised against it effectively, she made the decision for me. She informed me that they hadn't engaged in any further physical intimacy after I had discovered the truth behind their connection. She also claimed that she hadn't divulged the specifics of our situation and what we were going through to the other person. This, however, turned out to be untrue. When I confronted her once more with the knowledge I had, she finally broke down and admitted that she understood the wrongdoing of her actions. She confessed that she hadn't contemplated the consequences, just that she needed someone to confide in an affair partner because she couldn't talk to anyone else about it. Even as I contemplate the possibility of forgiving her and giving our marriage another chance, I find myself consistently returning to the web of lies and deceit. Her actions seem to only further entrench her in this hole she's dug, from dishonesty about resuming intimacy with an affair partner to untruths about what she disclosed to him. She's so skilled at deception that I've lost all faith in her trustworthiness. The lies seem to effortlessly flow from her, as if she genuinely believes they are the truth. If I were less informed, I might even be inclined to believe her. So even in the moments where I want to embrace her, kiss her, and tell her everything will be okay, I remember her lies, and it keeps me focused on moving forward separately. In any case, we broke the news to the kids on Friday night, and it was a heartbreaking experience. They comprehended the situation entirely, and their emotions are in turmoil. They are mad at her for having a boyfriend and upset with me for leaving their mother. She strongly preferred that I didn't disclose the fact that she had a boyfriend, but I was firm in my decision to be honest about that aspect. The children are scheduled for their initial therapy appointment this Friday. I'm uncertain about how it will unfold, but I hold hope that it will provide them with an opportunity to begin addressing their feelings and concerns about the whole situation. In the meantime, I'm striving to strike a balance between being a steadfast disciplinarian and allowing them the space to openly express their grief, anger, and confusion regarding the dramatic changes unfolding in their lives. To complicate matters, my soon-to-be ex-wife returned to the house on Friday night, and for the time being, we are cohabitating while we work out a plan for one of us to move out and determine when we'll need to sell the house. Maintaining the house and managing child support and potential alimony, regardless of the final amount, is financially unfeasible for me. Unfortunately, the local housing market is currently in a downturn, making it a less than ideal time to sell. Therefore, we've mutually decided to postpone listing the house until the spring in the hopes of securing a better selling price. The next 4 months can't pass soon enough for my liking. Additionally, it's shaping up to be a challenging and somber Christmas. I want the kids to have as normal a Christmas as they can possibly have. I just need to carve out some time and energy to retrieve the tree from storage and set it up. She's sleeping on the couch. To protect my personal space, I've installed a lock on the bedroom door and make sure to secure it before leaving the house, preventing her from accessing my belongings for the time being. She's currently using the guest room and keeping some of her clothes in a suitcase. You can label it as petty or a less than gracious move, but the fact remains that she left me, and I'm opting to sleep in my bed while she occupies the couch. That's the current state of affairs. This isn't an exhaustive update, but it touches on the recent developments over the past few days. The atmosphere in the house is relatively calm, with minimal communication from her end, let alone any outbursts or tantrums. Update 4. Everything remains civil, respectful, and friendly. During the initial week, tension was palpable, but it has significantly diminished as we acclimate to our new routine. To be honest, this has provided me with hope that we can continue to address matters amicably, given that we have generally treated each other with respect throughout this challenging period. On a different note, the experience of decorating for Christmas was truly enjoyable. The children had a great time with the decorations. We played Christmas music, watched holiday movies, and maintained a lighthearted atmosphere. Even my soon-to-be ex-wife joined in. Given that she's still residing in the house, I couldn't exactly prevent her from participating. She supervised the kids as they decorated the tree, while I took care of hanging lights outside. I entered the room, and we all gathered for some hot cocoa while we enjoyed watching Christmas Vacation. I took a seat on one end of the kids, while she sat on the opposite side. In past years, we used to cuddle up on the couch as we watched the movie together, but I didn't feel inclined to do that this time. On another note, the kids' therapy is progressing positively. The initial meeting involved quite a bit of paperwork and getting to know each other, but it's off to a promising start. We delved into the topic, but the kids seemed a bit hesitant and uncertain about how everything would unfold. I believe our presence, mine and that of my soon-to-be ex-wife, may have made them a tad cautious. The second session, however, seemed to go much more smoothly. We began the second session with all of us conversing together, and then the therapist suggested that we step out for a while. We remained outside the room while the therapist engaged in conversation with the kids. After approximately 15 minutes, we returned, and the kids opened up about their feelings. They shared their profound sadness and apprehension, conveying their strong desire for us not to proceed with the divorce and to continue living in the same house. And now for the twist. My soon-to-be ex-wife began to cry and confessed, "I don't want that either." I sat there, speechless, and all I managed to say was, "Are you kidding me?" I stopped myself from saying more, refraining from the impulse to mention her past infidelity. Then, somewhat foolishly, I added, "I don't want that either," but it felt like I was merely echoing her words. Afterward, I turned to the therapist and asked if we could have a private conversation with her before we left. With only 4 minutes remaining in the session, the therapist requested the kids to leave the room and wait in the waiting area, closing the door behind them. At that point, she sternly confronted my wife. The therapist expressed her concern that my wife's behavior appeared manipulative, as she seemed to be portraying me as the villain through her words. She emphasized that if we were to establish a healthy co-parenting relationship moving forward, this approach needed to cease. The therapist pointed out that if my wife genuinely didn't want a divorce, she should have considered the repercussions of her actions during her affair. In essence, she expressed everything I had wanted to say but couldn't. It was kind of awesome. That evening, my soon-to-be ex-wife apologized to me for what transpired during the therapy session and committed to being more thoughtful about her words and their potential impact on the children before speaking. It was pretty much all I could have asked for, with one exception. Work is going well, and our Christmas preparations are on track. However, there was one unexpected twist. I accidentally slept with my wife. So let's rewind to the night we were decorating for Christmas. It had been a wonderful day. We had all enjoyed ourselves, watching movies and cherishing each other's company. It felt like a return to the good times from the past, before all the difficulties arose. After tucking the kids into bed, we settled in to continue watching It's a Wonderful Life, her beloved Christmas movie. Throughout the evening, we had indulged in eggnog and brandy, and the combination of the cozy atmosphere and the potent brandy had subtly clouded my judgment. She tenderly planted a kiss on my neck. In response, I turned towards her, and we succumbed to our youthful impulses, passionately losing ourselves in the moment. I wish I could say that I wasn't thinking to myself, "Don't do this." But I thought about it. I went against my own better judgment and went through with it. It had been a significant stretch of time since she and I had been together. I understand that I wasn't thinking clearly. That said, it was great. However, as I lay there afterward, a wave of self-disgust washed over me for giving in after all this time, after enduring her betrayals, and despite the progress I had made. It was a feeling of frustration and regret that left me feeling disgusted. I'm still furious with myself, and now I have to face the consequences of my actions. That night, I made it clear to her that our encounter hadn't altered my decision. I still want a divorce. I emphasized that it couldn't happen again, and our relationship wouldn't return to its former state. She voiced agreement, or at least she said she did, but it's always hard to trust her intentions. I haven't had an opportunity to talk about this with my therapist or our ongoing marriage counselor. Additionally, I need to schedule an STD test because I'm uncertain if there's a risk of transmission from a previous partner. Fortunately, I don't have to worry about an unexpected pregnancy since I had a vasectomy several years ago. Nevertheless, the whole situation bewilders me. How could I have been so foolish and let my guard down? I'm imperfect. I'm mad at myself, and I'm not going to let it happen again. Final update. Let me start out by saying that my wife and I ultimately decided to stick it out. I understand that this decision might not align with the expectations of many, and I grappled with my own feelings of self-disappointment throughout most of last year. While we may not have fully restored our relationship to its former state, and I'm uncertain if we ever will, there has been definite improvement in our situation. Reaching this point required approximately 8 months of dedicated therapy, both individually and as a couple. We also underwent therapy with our children. It demanded both of us to be willing to forgive and move forward. To be frank, I see our progress as something of a miracle. And here's how everything unfolded since my previous update. I emphasized that resuming an intimate relationship was not an option for us. We persisted with couples therapy. And during these sessions, she began to open up about her thoughts and emotions, as well as what had led her to reconnect with someone else. Somewhere around March, it became evident that a shift had occurred within both of us. We weren't just going through the motions. We were sincerely communicating with one another. She harbored profound fears of losing herself in the roles of being a wife and a mother. She felt a void and attempted to fill it outside of our marriage. It's important to clarify that I didn't see it as a deception. I genuinely believed she was searching for something she felt was missing. Certainly, she should have sought what she needed within our relationship, but she didn't. I've chosen to forgive her for that. I expressed all the hurt, pain, and the extent to which my trust had been broken. I was afraid of being hurt again. And truth be told, there's still a lingering sense of apprehension. I acknowledge that the unexpected can occur. Anything is possible. However, I've relinquished my need for control and placed my trust in my faith and in her, believing that she won't repeat such actions. While I typically find great comfort in having a well-structured plan, it's not just about my need for a plan. It's a part of who I am. I find solace in planning and meticulously working through details. I'm aware of the steps I should take if I ever begin to doubt her loyalty or come across any signs of her infidelity once more. This strategy empowers me and helps me push aside the pain. For quite a while, her unfaithfulness and dishonesty consumed my thoughts, but nowadays, those thoughts have become infrequent. It's been over a year since she last communicated with, reached out to, or checked in on a former partner. I'm aware of this because I have permission to access her phone, laptop, and Facebook messages. There was a period when I felt the temptation to scrutinize her digital activities daily. The urge to comb through every message and question the nature of her conversations was strong. However, over time, my inclination to monitor her gradually diminished. I ensured that my checks were unannounced and random, aiming to catch any discrepancies if necessary. However, it's been around 2 months since I last engaged in such. I don't anticipate doing it again unless circumstances raise suspicions once more. Therapy has significantly assisted in managing this aspect. I haven't had any contact with a affair partner and his spouse since I reached out to her in December of the previous year. To be honest, I'm perfectly content with that. I can observe on Facebook that they are still married, but I don't fixate on it or frequently check their profiles. I've adjusted my settings so that her posts don't appear in my newsfeed, and I believe the last time I checked was approximately 3 to 4 months ago. I don't care what happens to them anymore. We distanced ourselves from the group of friends we used to associate with and formed new connections. It's not that our old friendships were necessarily toxic, but those couples had different priorities that didn't align with the kind of couple we aspired to be. They were highly sociable and extroverted, often indulging in excessive drinking and boasting about wealth and social status. While they were decent individuals, they weren't the kind of company we sought. Our new circle of friends is equally sociable and outgoing, but they steer clear of excessive drinking. They prioritize family and foster a more positive and wholesome environment all around. This year, we welcomed the new year with our new group, and while we had a fantastic time, we returned home early enough with the kids to fully enjoy New Year's Day. Our children are aware of our commitment to staying together. During the summer, around June to July, we made the choice to temporarily suspend the divorce proceedings. Originally, it was scheduled to be finalized in March or April, but we both agreed to delay it early on. Sorting through the list of our assets and determining who would get what was a challenging process. I genuinely believe that this difficulty played a part in her readiness to communicate and reconcile, as well as my willingness to give our relationship another chance. We informed our children that we had decided not to proceed with the divorce, explaining that sometimes parents face difficult challenges and need to work through them. We let them know that we were committed to trying to resolve our issues. In August, she moved back into our bedroom, and I removed the lock from the door. While life is not without its imperfections, it has improved, and we see positive changes every day. On Christmas, she conveyed her heartfelt apologies and pledged to work diligently every day to regain my trust and affection. My love for her has deepened, and I've come to appreciate how couples can endure such trials. We've even set plans for a family vacation this spring during the kids' school break, and we're all eagerly anticipating it. We continue to attend our weekly couples therapy sessions, alongside our individual therapy outside of our joint appointments. Our marriage counselor has expressed her admiration for how we've managed this journey and consistently put in the effort to mend the rifts in our relationship. Although it was challenging for a substantial period, it has gradually become more manageable than it used to be. I want to provide absolute clarity regarding the steps we took to heal. While the rest of this post might be somewhat ambiguous, I aim to be unequivocal about the actions we took to ensure our relationship's success. Please understand that I'm not an expert. These are just the strategies that worked for us, and I hope they might offer guidance to someone else. Both individual and couples therapy were integral to our journey. Therapy allowed me to confront and understand my imperfections as a man, a husband, and a father. It provided me with clarity and inner peace while also helping me rediscover the confidence I had lost when my wife's infidelity occurred. Similarly, her individual therapy assisted her in recognizing and addressing her own shortcomings as a wife and mother. Her individual therapy played a crucial role in helping her determine whether she truly desired reconciliation or if she preferred to pursue an independent path. Once she made the decision to reconcile, our couples therapy became instrumental in guiding us toward that goal and envisioning what our lives would be like on the other side. Both of us wholeheartedly committed to the journey, diligently investing our efforts outside of therapy to rebuild our relationship, which notably involved practicing radical honesty. Whenever I experienced emotions, I openly communicated them to her, and she did the same. We made a conscious effort not to suppress our feelings but to express them honestly. Additionally, when she shared her thoughts and feelings with me, I set aside all distractions to genuinely listen, and she reciprocated this practice for me. We also established a routine of daily check-ins. Each night, after tucking our kids into bed, we would come together to connect and share our thoughts and experiences. Our nightly check-ins involved discussing how our day went, outlining our plans for the following day, and addressing our feelings towards each other. While these conversations initially posed challenges, they eventually became a natural and integral part of our routine. Now, I eagerly anticipate our nightly check-ins, fully aware of the substantial positive influence they've had on our relationship. It's all about asking each other meaningful questions. It was almost as if we revisited the early stages of our relationship when we first started dating. You see, she and I have shared a significant amount of time together, and it's evident that we've both evolved as individuals since our initial days as a couple. Change is a natural part of life. The real question is whether the individuals we have become can still sustain a healthy, lasting marriage together. I stumbled upon a list of questions online, spanning from simple inquiries like, "What is your favorite color?" to more profound ones such as, "What would you do if one of your parents passed away right now?" We started working through that list and then discovered even more lists, and it's turned into an enjoyable process of rediscovering who she is. I may not strongly identify with a particular religious faith, but I came across a marriage mending guide rooted in Christian principles. It emphasizes the importance of performing acts of kindness for your spouse in the process of healing a relationship following infidelity. These acts of service span a wide spectrum, from simple gestures like leaving a heartfelt note or tackling one of their responsibilities to more elaborate displays of affection, such as enjoying a special date night alone, selecting thoughtful gifts, and even arranging a weekend getaway for quality time together. The accumulation of these small gestures played a significant role in restoring my trust in her and rekindling my love for her. The simplicity of her actions, like taking out the trash on a late work night, held great meaning. It was challenging, but I made a conscious effort to refrain from dwelling on the past and prevent my thoughts from descending into darker territory. Moreover, this process was exceptionally uplifting, as it allowed me to redirect my mental and emotional energy towards other aspects of life. Whenever I felt the temptation to get entangled in distressing thoughts, I proactively engaged in activities to shift my focus, be it working out or going for a run, enjoying a lighthearted TV show, or partaking in playful and distracting activities with my children. Over time, the frequency of these thoughts dwindled, as I've previously noted. I want to make it clear that I'm not here to impart any preachy wisdom. In all honesty, I firmly believe that not all relationships are meant to be, and I once held that sentiment about us, at least until midway through the last year. Certain individuals can find a way to make their relationships succeed, while it's clear that others are better off apart. But for now, I truly believe that we will be together for the long haul. Thank you for listening to the story to the end, and if you like it, please support us with a like as well as subscribe to our channel. Write in the comments what you